in Child Protective Services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. True. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CPS Current Events. I'm here with my guest, LJ. LJ, how are you today?
I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Same. If you'll excuse me for 1 second, my dog is barking at the door, and I gotta shut it. So sorry about that. Okay.
It's okay.
Thank you so much for joining us today, LJ. I am going to start off really quick by giving our viewers a 3-level appeal process for their CPS cases. So there are three level Child Protective Services appeals. Each level of the process is designed to give the appellant a progressively more formal means to voice concerns over the disposition reached by the local social services agency in the investigation and disposition of a CPS complaint. The first level of appeal is the informal local conference. The first level of the appeal process is the informal local conference, which is conducted by the director of the local social services agency or his or her designee. If the results of the local conference are unsatisfactory to the appellant, he or she may, within 30 days of receiving notice of the result of the local conference, request a state-level hearing. The appeal request must be made in writing and mailed to the Commissioner of the Virginia Department of Social Services in Richmond. So again, this is for my jurisdiction in Virginia. The second level of appeal, which is the administrative or state-level hearing. The second level of appeal is the administrative hearing or state-level hearing. Administrative hearings are conducted by impartial hearing officers designated by the Commissioner of the Virginia Department of Social Services. At the administrative hearing, the local department has the burden to show, by preponderance of the evidence, that a disposition made by the local agency was made in accordance with law and policy. The hearing officer controls the hearing, maintains order, weighs the testimony and the evidence, and renders a written decision in the case. The decision is mailed to the parties after the hearing is concluded and the record is closed. Now, the final level of appeal, the appeal to circuit court. The final level of appeal is an appeal to circuit court. Only the appellant may appeal the hearing officer's decision to the circuit court. A local agency cannot appeal the hearing officer's decision, nor can the victim or the victim's parent if they were not the appellant at the administrative hearing. An appellant has 30 days from the date of service of the hearing officer's decision. Also, the date the decision was received or the date the decision was mailed, whichever occurs first, to file a written notice of appeal to circuit court with the Commissioner of the Virginia Department of Social Services. Within 30 days after filing the notice appeal to circuit court with the Commissioner, the appellant must file a written petition for appeal to circuit court with the appropriate circuit court. A copy of the petition for appeal to circuit court must also be served on the Commissioner. The circuit court review is a review of the record of the administrative hearing. The Office of the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia will appear in circuit court to represent the position of Child Protective Services section in the case. And there are a couple of PDFs to go along with that. I had a couple of issues that I would like to point out with this. When it talks about the first level of appeal, which is the informal local conference, often you're never even given the opportunity to have that informal conference. They just take your kids in an ex parte emergency hearing with a bullshit, preponderance of evidence. And most of the time, these parents never have the opportunity to be there at that hearing in the first place. They just take your kids. They knock at your door after that hearing that you were never present for nor were aware of, and they just take your kids. They take your children. And, that immediately puts you into the second level, which isn't even appeal. It's just the state hearing. So these ancient dinosaur documents that they haphazardly have posted for us to follow don't even follow the procedures that they're abiding by. So, yeah. Just be aware of what your state has posted for the appeal process for your CPS cases, and make sure that that is in accordance with the local laws of your state and your county. So, LJ, tell us about yourself.
That blows my mind, just 30 days to appeal for your livelihood is bullshit.
It's more than your livelihood. This is our flesh and blood. These are our children.
Exactly. That just blows my mind. That's amazing. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I'm getting close to the age of 40. I live in Florida, and I have a amazing son who is young and has been really dragged through the mud because
How
of
old
my
is he?
3.
Poor baby. How long has this case been happening?
16 months now.
I'm sorry to hear that. So tell us what brought these people into your life.
So basically, so my son had colic, and nobody really can understand or describe what colic really is, but basically he had some stomach issues, and it made him cranky, obviously. And so we would put him in the car and we would drive him, around our
That's
town.
very helpful for colic in children. That is very helpful.
Yeah. So we did it a lot, really, because it was like the number one thing that really soothed him. So it happened to be like later on in the evening, like maybe 9:30, almost 10 o'clock, when we went out for a drive with him. And my fiance had gotten a call from someone that needed a ride because their spouse or something had kicked them out and they needed a ride. They were stranded. So long story short, basically the person that we picked up threw drugs out of our car in front of a police officer and didn't admit to it and blamed it on my fiance. And so that's kind of where the nightmare started.
I kind of saw that coming when I heard somebody needed a ride late at night. I was like, okay, I see where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really sorry to hear that you got entangled with that. That's unfortunate.
It's very frustrating, to say the least.
I can imagine. So what happened when the officer pulled you over?
So he said that I ran a stop sign, there's that white bar in front of a stop sign, and he said that I went over it when I stopped. So that's why he pulled me over.
Is it even running a stop sign? If you just
That's literally their excuse, because it's going to be very hard to prove that I didn't or did either way. from, in my own defense. So I think that they use that a lot down here for a reason to pull people over, whether they really did it or not. So the officer asked, if there was any reason to believe that my fiance, because they knew it came out of that side of the car. That much they knew, but they didn't know who threw it out their window, whether it was in the front seat or in the back seat. So apparently this guy had stashed some of his drugs under the car seat that my child was sitting in. And so obviously, DCF was called, and, my fiance ended up going to jail because he looks over at me and I'm holding our son, and we both kind of like had this conversation without actually saying any words. Like, I looked at him going, it's my car. I'm the owner. I'm probably going to go to jail. Oh my God, they're going to take my baby from me. Like, you could probably see the panic in my eyes. So I think, so the cop came up and said, it's either you or her. He's not admitting to it. And I guess from the storyline, they didn't believe my fiance, which didn't make any sense, but I can't go much further than that because it's still being litigated. But
I understand.
So basically he went to jail, and it just kind of has been downhill from there. They literally have like used our lives against us because of that one moment. So I had back in 2017, I had like 7 different arrests, and they were for violence. And that's been used against me, but I don't have any. I've never been convicted of a crime. I was charged and arrested for those, but I was having a nervous breakdown because I was the sole witness to the murder of my mother and stepfather of 11 years when I was 19. So they have kind of used that nervous breakdown against me and painted me as this monster, when I truly just wasn't dealing with my trauma. And I've complied. I've done everything and then some with my case. I frequently ask, my case worker, the guardian ad litem, everybody, what can I do to further, make you guys happy and to show you that I can be responsible and in charge of my son. So, fingers crossed every day.
Yes, fingers crossed. So when your case began, did they give you a service plan to complete?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where are you in that service plan?
I'm done. I have everything done.
You've completed it. Do you know what stage in the court process you're in right now, LJ?
It just closed with permanent guardianship.
Of you?
Well, yeah, I mean, the case closed. I guess that means me and my, my former spouse.
So are you guys still, is he the biological father?
Yeah.
But you are no longer together.
Well, they made that very clear that they did not want us together or would not be possible to reunify, because he had an arrest and a conviction, and they deemed him, they said, if you want to be reunified, Lisa or LJ, you have to have him not live in your home.
That was going to be my next question, is like, what were the demands of them as far as your relationship with him?
And mind you,
that I've seen frequently.
I've been homeless for 14 months because I work in healthcare, and I was exposed to a COVID positive patient that didn't tell me. Mm-hmm. And so I got very sick, and I'm the breadwinner of our family. So I was out of work for almost 5 months. So we lost literally everything. And then we're homeless for 14 months.
I'm so sorry.
But hey, I'm sitting in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house because I did the work and I didn't give up and I kept at it.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I still, haven't unpacked fully, you know, it's been a couple months, but I feel like, you know, it's almost surreal.
Yeah.
But I mean, working in healthcare, working my case plan, and trying to find a home in the middle of a pandemic has been insane.
It has been. I mean, I'm a licensed realtor, and I can tell you right now, trying to rent out any property right now is, I mean, you might as well be homeless. I don't even know how to explain it. You've got qualified buyers who sold their house but couldn't buy another one because of the buyer craze.
Right.
It's just, we're all just wanting more than anything for this pandemic craziness to just level out the playing field and just go back to normal, whatever normal was, or some type of normal, you know?
Right.
And every time we think that we're getting there, something happens and we're just further fucked.
And it's hard to maintain like this level of, you know, positivity and outlook that, you know, has anything positive in it, because it doesn't seem, you know, it seems like such an uphill battle that you're never going to get to the top of.
It is. It really is, though. It really
is. But I'm never going to give up on my child. I never will, no matter what. I don't care.
So is your child in your custody now? Is your child in your custody now? Oh, looks like, guys, we got some difficulties. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Don't know what that was. No, are you with your child now?
No, he is with my, I'm just going to say sister.
Okay.
The pet name out of it.
So if you're granted permanent guardianship.
My sister was.
Okay. So where does that mean for you in custody or visitation?
Well, basically, I was supposed to have a hearing last Monday to prove to the judge that she should not close the case with permanent guardianship. But I ended up having some kind of a medical event and hit my head from falling and was knocked out for like 6 hours. And I didn't show up to my hearing. So you can imagine how that went over with everybody.
I can't imagine. I don't imagine. Well, I imagine.
I mean, all days for me to have a medical event, it had to be that day, apparently. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. So what happened with that?
With me,
with the injury?
I'm still waiting on my doctor to get like blood work back and, you know, the results back. But they think from what we know so far, we think it was, you know, just stress related and that my blood pressure got too high. And it caused me to pass out. And then when I passed out, I fell. I was actually in my garage for like 6 hours on the ground.
My goodness. And you were by yourself? No one was there?
By myself.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. My dog.
So it's been very frustrating because it was like, you know, I felt like it was the most important day of my life, you know, that I'm going to go, you know, fight for. And I mean, I wasn't sleeping through it. I was passed out, but you know, I'm like, really? I slept through my hearing. I'm a bit hard on myself, I think, too much, but I'm really upset that I missed it. But we're gonna hope that
if you had medical reason, you know, because obviously I'm sure they would have filed a show cause motion for you missing your court date. And if you have the medical paperwork to show cause for why you missed it, you should be granted another hearing. Like they have to give you the opportunity.
I'm hoping the judge sees it that way.
I would look up your laws in your state because it's not about how the judge sees it. You know, he is on some level an arbiter of the law, but he's not the ultimate arbiter of the law. You know, the law is the law.
Right.
I mean, look up your local rules for civil procedure. Make sure that those are being abided by. Look up your state's constitution for your specific trial court.
Oh yeah, girl, I have done lots of that, and I never can remember any of it. But
Have you heard of
doing the research?
Have you heard of a motion for rehearing?
Yeah, I believe that is what we have already put in per my attorney.
Now, is this a private attorney or a
Oh no, it's our favorite kind, the court appointed.
Do you feel like they're working in your favor?
Sometimes, but not enough at all.
You know, there's a way that you can tame your attorneys.
What do you mean?
There are ways to hold them accountable and make sure that they fight for you properly.
I mean, I feel like she didn't do that the majority of my case, and then I like lost it on her, and I literally cussed her out and told her if she wasn't going to fight for me or my son, that she needed to step aside so I could do so myself properly.
So let's talk about attorneys and self-interest, right? Lawyers are out for number one, no exception. That's what self-interest is. Whether they win or lose, lawyers aren't much affected by the outcome of a case. When it's over, they go home, sleep in the same bed, and wake up to just another day. Clients, on the other hand, either enjoy the fruit of victory or the shambles they're left with when the dust settles. Clients may be in prison or executed by lethal injection. Clients may be impoverished by legal fees, court costs, and the devastation of an adverse judgment that leaves them and their families penniless. We all operate out of self-interest. You, me, and absolutely everyone. Even Mother Teresa, who did wonderful things while she lived, was motivated by the pleasure of helping others. If helping others hadn't given her a pleasure, she wouldn't have done it. Everyone operates from self-interest. We want what we want, and we act accordingly. It may be the goal of money, praise, love, or honor. It may be hunger for a hot meal or a dry place to sleep. We desire. We do. Always, we act because we want. Lawyers are no exception. But lawyer self-interest affects you. It may be your lawyer if you have one, or it may be your opponent's lawyers. So we need to understand what the world looks like through lawyers' eyes, what motivates them, and what you need to know to avoid unpleasant consequences. So we need to understand how lawyers think, how they see the world, and how they deal with clients, how they chum with judges, and what you need to do to keep from losing your shirt. So what do lawyers tell clients? Nearly all of the lawyers I've met in my 36 years were cordial, polite, friendly, and anxious to make a good impression. Of course, the persons they most wanted to impress were potential clients who, they hope, will employ them for representation or other legal services. They will ask about the family, even inquire about the family dog if they know the dog's name. They give hearty handshakes, may slap you on the back, take you to lunch, and generally act as your long-lost friend. So don't be taken in. The time to know if a lawyer is really your friend is after your case is closed. The money stops flowing from you to the lawyer, and the lawyer has no motive other than genuine cordiality. If your lawyer still wants to meet you for lunch, play golf, or share his or her tickets to a sporting event, you may have a new friend. Chances are that won't happen. When you employ a lawyer to work for you, you enter the relationship for what it is. You are hiring someone to do a job. And this goes for the same as your courts, like paying your attorney to represent you. They're still getting paid to represent your best interests. But unfortunately, oftentimes they only use that money to represent their own. So you're not trying to make a friend, at least not until the job is done or done to your satisfaction. Your well-being depends on the job being done well, not having the lawyer like you. The lawyer may say, we're going to win this case, but don't believe it. Ask the lawyer, what are you going to do to win? How do you intend to proceed? Do you have a plan? Is your plan written out? When may I see your plan? These are all very important questions, guys, that we need to be asking our attorneys. They are working for us, not the other way around. Some lawyers may say, don't worry, I'll take care of everything. This is a flaming red flag. You do not want the lawyer to take care of everything. You want to be personally involved, intimately involved in your case. After all, it is your case, not the lawyer's. So see to it. You want to know everything the lawyer plans to do, and as much as possible, you want to know before the lawyer does it. Lawyers that make that ridiculous comment want your checkbook to be involved and for you to stay out of their hair so they can muddle through at your expense. Don't go for it. If a lawyer says, "You won't pay a dime unless I win," get it in writing. Make certain you will not be on the hook to pay anything. No depositions, postage, travel time, or expert witnesses. Get a written contract with the lawyer. Spend some time reading it. Take it home with you. Read it over and over before signing and returning it to the lawyer, guys. Never forget that the lawyer's percentage is negotiable. Just because a lawyer asks for 33% or some percentage doesn't mean the lawyer won't work for less, especially if your case is strong with lots of money at the end of that litigation rainbow. Make certain the contract requires that the lawyer to get your consent in writing before agreeing to any settlement, stipulation, or other action that might limit your recovery. Whatever a lawyer may say to you before you agree to employ him or her, get it in writing. If the lawyer won't agree to a written contract for legal services, look for another. Approximately 1 out of every 1,000 human beings is a lawyer. There are plenty more out there eager to make some easy money. Be picky. When the fight is over, the lawyer goes home. So choose wisely. So what lawyers don't tell clients? Your lawyer won't tell you he had to take the bar exam 6 times to pass. Your lawyer won't tell you he doesn't know how to use requests for admissions, requests for productions, and interrogatories as taught in the discovery federal rules of evidence. Your lawyer won't tell you the plans to confer with other lawyers because he is confused about the law of your case. Your lawyer won't tell you he and the lawyer on the other side have been best friends for years, play golf together, and spend weekends at side-by-side cabins with their families at the lake. Your lawyer won't tell you that he's had trouble with the judge assigned to your case and that the judge has sanctioned him in the past. Perhaps most importantly, your lawyer may not tell you when he refuses to accept the other side's offer to settle because he hopes to make more money dragging your case on for a few more 100 billable hours. Similarly, your lawyer may not tell you when it is clear as crystal that your case cannot be won no matter what, because that makes the lawyer's money train stop. In the case mentioned, I knew for more than a year before the final hearing that the other side could not win. And moreover, I knew that the 3 lawyers on the other side also knew they could not win. I will never forget walking past their table on my way out of the courtroom, overhearing one of them tell their client, "There was no way we could have known this would happen." Indeed, folks, beware, this does happen. So this course that I pay for, it talks about how lawyers bill time, why lawyers take depositions too soon, a lawyer's typical workday, what non-lawyers can do. So since you're not a lawyer and have no fear of being disbarred, there are some things that you can do to help your case that a lawyer working for you cannot do. If you have a lawyer, you should not do these things. But if you are pro se and completely on your own, there are no rules against it. For example, lawyers are forbidden to talk with their opposing party. They can talk to the opposing party's lawyer if they want, no rules against that, but they are not allowed to talk directly to the opposing party. If they wish to offer settlement, for example, they must go through the opposing lawyer. If the opposing lawyer fails to communicate such offers with his or her client, which violates the rules of professional responsibility, as some lawyers intentionally do so, they can keep their time clock running and make more money by keeping their clients in the dark about offers their client might accept rather than continue fighting. Your lawyer can do nothing about it. Your lawyer cannot communicate directly with the opponent. You, on the other hand, are not a lawyer and therefore are not subject to bar regulations. Check your local jurisdiction's rules and appellate court opinions before going forward. And if there are no such rules, you can communicate with your opponent without going through your opponent's lawyer. Your opponent may insist that you go through his or her lawyer, in which case you should not try again. But absent their objection, you are free to talk to them by phone, email them, write letters to them, or meet them in person over lunch to discuss possible settlements or other matters mutually beneficial to you. There are advantages to not being a lawyer. So in conclusion, knowing how lawyers think will help you deal with your opponent's lawyers and your own lawyer if you have one. Never assume lawyers think like you do, because they don't. Never assume they have your best interests at heart, because they don't. They and what's best for their family and their firm comes first, regardless of the hearty handshakes and inquiries into the welfare of the family pet. I've had the honor to know many kind, thoughtful, honest lawyers in the past 36 years. I've also known quite a large number of skunks. To see them in their expensive suits, highly polished shoes, silk ties, and shiny leather briefcases is impossible to tell you the difference. That's why you probably should go back and read through this class again, it says. So if you guys would like, I can give you the link to this course that I've learned a lot of stuff from.
Definitely.
But no, it's really important to know that your lawyers are not out for you. They are first and foremost out for themselves. I mean, they have bills to pay too, you know, and we all live according to their means. You're making what, like $100-something thousand a year? You're going to be driving a nice car. You're going to have a big house. You know, those are all bills that need to be paid. So the most important takeaway from this class is make sure you understand what your lawyer's plan is. Get that plan in writing. So tell us a little bit more about where the future of your case stands. Do you know if the judge used any language in the order using the term prejudice?
No, I haven't seen, I have not seen any documentation that has been submitted to like solidify it was closed with permanent guardianship. So I'm wondering that, and that could be because of my motion, you know, to
the motion for the rehearing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what state do you live in?
Florida.
If you don't mind me asking. I'm sorry?
Florida.
Okay. Do you know the exact language of the motion? Was it specifically named a motion for rehearing?
I do not. I don't know the specific language, no.
So you don't know if it's a reconsideration hearing or a rehearing, because there is a difference between the two.
No, I'm not sure. And that's a good question that I should be asking, which I will probably as soon as we get off of here, because that's a question I definitely should know.
Now, we are coming up to the end of our time soon. What is your visitation looking like? How often are you able to see your son?
My sister only allows me to see my child one time per week, and that has been the entire time that my case has gone on, is 1 hour per week. Finally, a few months ago, I was rightfully granted 2 hours unsupervised visits. So, you know, that's something. But he is very young and he is really struggling. My sister has been kind of a roadblock, to say the least, and making it very hard. Even has him calling her mommy.
Do you think it's a possibility that she may be under duress by the social services agency?
No, her and I have had a tumultuous relationship. I mean, as far back as I can remember. It's been a really difficult relationship, and so it's been hard, you know, being civil with someone who's not civil. You know.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So when we were young, my sister, she was sick, and she was very sick, and I believe that she harbors resentment and bitterment towards me because I was, you know, technically the healthy one and not sick. And I think that she's literally like helped push me in the fire every chance she can, even if it, you know, means making up a story or a lie.
Sounds a lot like a social worker.
Oh yeah, they talk on Saturdays and Sundays. I can't even get mine to, you know, talk to me Monday through Friday. So I found that interesting.
I'm really sorry to hear that. That is not ethical in any means.
No.
Is there a plan to work you toward reunification with your child?
It's not a very clear plan, I feel. I mean, it's literally just
James, I am so sorry.
The new case plan has been submitted as, you know, all the things that I've already done. And it says that I haven't done any of them. So to me, that's not a plan at all, or a very good one at least. So the plan is to attack with facts, and somebody is going to see that I have, done the work, put in the time, and always will for my child, because he's all that I live for, and he will come home, and I just hope it's sooner than later.
Yes. I hope so too. So do you know when you're going to be
so young? He
again?
Understand, like, why are you not bringing me home? Because he keeps asking me, "Mommy, I want to go home."
Of course.
And, I just keep telling him the house isn't ready yet. It's almost ready. I tell him we're building it. It's kind of the only thing he'll really understand at his age.
Have you ever been told, by the social workers that you weren't allowed to be honest with your child? Not in those words, but when you say you're going to come home soon, hey, I'm working on it, you're going to come home soon. Have you ever experienced where they said, oh, well, you can't tell them that. You can't tell them that they're coming home because you don't know that.
Exactly. Oh, yes, I definitely have.
That just upsets me so much more than anything.
Yeah, but my sister can teach him to call her mommy when she's his aunt, and confuse the hell out of him and literally train him. I mean, my last visit with him, he's calling me by my name. How would he know that?
He was
at
trained
3 years old.
He was trained.
Yeah. So it's hard because, when your own family member is literally, making it impossible for you to move forward. She is really making me live every mistake I think I've ever made, is how I feel. And it sucks and it's hard, because it hurts.
I can imagine.
So, but what do we do? We can't give up. So, I just surround myself in, researching the law in my state and knowing how to defend myself.
Right. Because it's not just knowing the law, it's knowing what to do with that knowledge of the law.
Right.
And there are so many different levels of the law. You have like your federal rules of evidence, your federal rules of civil procedure. You have your, United States codes. You have your Constitution, your Bill of Rights, like all of these things tie together. But then you have the states' right, to make their own laws and run their own states in certain ways. But then you have like, federal remedies for when the states violate some of your greater rights. And it's just understanding how all of these pieces fit together is important, and what to do in that courtroom. And that it takes a very long time to learn that. It takes a long time.
And
it takes
it's hard.
A lot of dedication.
Because not only it's because I work in healthcare, and the type of work I do, I work 12 to 14 hour shifts when I work.
Right.
So, with working that type of schedule, and then working my case plan, and then trying to research myself to death. I've overloaded myself in a sense, because like when I went to go organize everything I had researched and found and really dug into, I couldn't organize it to save my life because I was so overwhelmed.
And when you walk into that courtroom and you try to assert your rights, they're going to laugh you right out of the door. They're not going to respect your knowledge or your hours of study unless you have that bar license in your pocket. Even then, a lot of times they don't respect even some of the lawyers. And that leads me to my next piece. I did do a little course on taming your lawyers today, and some of it had a negative connotation on attorneys. And I want to state very clearly that Attorney Vincent Davis is probably like the most famous CPS strategy consulting attorney in this country. I have seen how hard he works. I've met him personally, even though I'm on the opposite side of the coast. He really does fight for his cases. But, what me and my supervisor and my producer, often talk about is the fact that litigation is expensive. going to court is expensive. You know, if you're not paying for him to fight this case, and it's not like he's charging you all this money, you know, just to go make a payment on his Lamborghini, which obviously, you know, that's not the case. But, you know, going through court costs money. And if you're not paying these attorneys to fight for you, they're paying out of their own pocket. And unfortunately, this is a side of the law where people with low income and low education are targeted because they know, like the states and the federal government know that these families don't have the resources to represent or protect themselves.
Well, that's like my fiance. I was just reading James, your comment about contacting your court-appointed attorney for 8 months, I think it says.
Mm-hmm.
My spouse, I think, went 13 and a half months without being able to communicate with his attorney. And his attorney is only just now finally responding, and it's only through this website portal thing. And that has been very frustrating because he's on a disability for you know, like a neurological problem, and his rights are being violated. But I mean, that rings in my head what Vince says. Do you want to be right, or do you want to get your kids back? So I always tell, you know, him, you will have your day. One of these days you will be vindicated for, you know, the unjust behavior that's been thrown at you. But so for right now, we just got to keep fighting, but, you know, separated and torn apart as a family.
Now, if anyone's interested, I had a guest on last week talking about a family rights rally. It's in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill.
I wish I could go.
5/21 of this year. So
I saw that. I wish I could go. I would love to go.
I'm going to do my absolute best to make it. There's going to be some really great speakers there. I cannot wait to see. If I'm not able to make it in person, I will, you know, if I can find anything, I will post anything related to it on my page as it's happening. So if we can follow it live, I'm going to make sure you guys have the access to it if that's possible. And
that's important. I mean, is to really get
it's so very important
out, like, you know, especially to people who are creating and changing and able and capable to, you know, change law.
Like I said before, we're gaining momentum. There are parent and bills of rights being passed all across our 50 states.
But what's bullshit is how long it's taken to gain any momentum when so many families have been ripped apart.
We need more specific remedies in our laws to recover damages, punitive and otherwise, for the actions that have been taken against us without any evidence, period. So we are approaching the end of our hour. Before we go, I would like to ask you, LJ, if your son was watching this show right now, what would you want to say to him? What do you need him to know?
Oh, you're trying to make me cry.
I'm sorry. Wait until Friday.
That wasn't fair. That wasn't fair.
Music and everything planned.
I'm sorry. So I forgot the basis of your question. What would I want?
If your son was watching and listening to you right now, what would you want him to know?
Mommy loves you, buddy, and you're going to come home real soon.
Thank you. Now, if there were any other parents in your specific situation for the specifics of your case and what you've been through on your case, what would your advice be to them? What is something that you didn't know before, but you know now?
Educate yourself. Always, you know, definitely know the laws in dependency court in your state. You know, push your attorney to do their job, especially if they're court appointed, like many of us, most all of us probably have. Make them do their job. They, like Amanda said, they work for us. So let's make sure that that's being done. You know, follow up, ask what's being submitted, ask what is being, you know, shown in court and pass through channels that you're not even being told or talked about. Communicate with your attorney, know what's going on.
But also remember though, always be completely honest with your attorney. There are some attorney-client privilege. Your attorney cannot say, you could literally tell your lawyer, I murdered somebody. I murdered that person. That's right. Damn right. I murdered him. He can't say that. He cannot say that. He or she is obligated to give you the best defense possible, whether you committed the crime or not. And he can't go off saying, oh, well, my client just told me that he killed that person. You can't do that. You can't do that. There are two people in this world you can never lie to. That is your doctor and your lawyer. Never lie to your doctor. Never lie to your lawyer. If you do, how are they supposed to help you? So remember that.
That's such a good point, because I think, a lot of people probably don't speak up because they're in fear of.
Don't be afraid of talking to your attorney. You could sue.
They can't.
They could be in a lot of trouble.
Don't, give them the full truth. Then they can't, devise a plan to be able to, remedy the issue. So yeah.
Anything that you speak to your attorney about cannot be spoken to anyone else without your permission. It is privileged information. So trust your lawyer, because I'm sure like we all are human. We all make mistakes. But if your attorney is not aware of the details of those mistakes that could be used against you later, how are they supposed to adequately fight for your case?
You can't be defended properly if you don't give them the opportunity to do so. Even if you don't like them, you got to let them know how to, go about it. If you're being untruthful about your story, then you're not going to get very far.
Exactly. I didn't mean to cut you off, LJ.
No, it's okay. I think there's a delay on my computer, so I apologize. To cut you off.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with our viewers before we end for today?
I think it's just really important that we, maintain communication with somebody. Me personally, I isolate, probably love it way more than I should, and probably should be seen clinically because of it.
I can really relate to that.
I think it's important to keep somebody in your life, and that's kind of what this show is offering me. And I got to step out of that isolation, and
it's hard. It's really hard. I mean, I can't tell you how many days, this today included, I couldn't get going. I couldn't get out of bed. I mean, shit, I didn't wake up until 12 o'clock. I mean, I was like barely awake, but
and you got to have somebody for you. If they're not positive for you, about you and your family reunifying, get them out of your life permanently, and get people who are positive and have good ideas that might help you and do things that make you feel better. Don't surround yourself with negative shit, because then you'll be literally always feeling like shit.
That is incredibly good advice. Thank you for that.
Sure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. And guys, don't forget, I have my Monday show at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is today, CPS Current Events. Our next show is going to be on Thursday. That is Fight CPS, the Civil Rights Struggle. That is at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then we have our new show Fridays, Fight With Me Fridays. We talk about unpacking trauma, learning coping skills, focusing on our mental health. And that is going to be Fridays at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's going to be.
I love that. So important to address your mental health while we're
Join us on Friday. So if you're in Florida, you're in my time zone. So it'll be 9 a.m. my time.
I'm usually at work and working at 5 a.m. So
no worries. Well, the beauty of these shows is you can always go back at them later and read and take away what we talked about. So
I always do. I think I'm a top fan on the YouTube thing or something. Somewhere.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations! Thank you for the support. Thank you. I myself, we have a few more minutes, so I'll just wrap up by, just giving a little bit about who I am. And, I can't really talk about my case, but I can tell you personally, today has been quite a difficult day for me. I feel like, everybody is just taking off a piece of my energy, and I don't really have any left. I have just been raped over and over again by these court systems, and I don't know how much longer I can keep going like this. I'm just spread so thin. I'm in law school. I'm running my real estate business. I'm trying to keep the bills paid, keep my sanity, get my rest. And it's been really, really difficult, and it's getting harder every day. But one thing that I have learned in my experience is that when the going gets really, really tough and you feel like you just can't make it another fucking day, it's because something good is waiting for you around the corner. And the dark, energies in this world want you to give up before you see that victory. So when shit feels like it's really about to cave in, it's because something good is coming. And if I can't believe in anything else, I can believe in that. So don't give up.
And Amanda, to add to that, I think too, when we're all feeling very down, like we just can't keep going like this and we're ready to give up. When your kid looks at you and they have that smile in their eyes, like you just can do anything. Think about.
I was looking at pictures the other day and I saw plenty like that.
Most intense look you'll ever get from another person that really affords you to accept love 100%. They love you 100% unconditionally, no matter what. Think about that love, and that should sustain us because it's enough. It doesn't feel like it at times, but our kids love us and we love them, and hold on to the way that they love you, your mama.
That is beautiful. Thank you. I can't cry on live. But thank you.
Try to do it to me.
Well, LJ, I had such a pleasure having you on today, and everyone, thank you again for your support. Join us on Thursday for Fight CPS, the Civil Rights Struggle. And, I wish everyone a great rest of their day, and we're all hurting together. We're all just trying to keep going together. So let's keep pushing. Okay. Don't give up.
In there. Keep your chin up.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.